All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Małgorzata, for introducing me. And today I would like to tell you about a novel embedding scheme for including Friedel oscillations for quantum chemical calculations. But first, let me start with the famous, or rather infamous, CO on Platinum 111 puzzle. Basically speaking, after Kohn and Sham proved the correctness of DFT, that is density functional theory method, it became a primary tool in computational chemistry for analyzing chemical reactions and chemical adsorptions. However, it appears that for this particular case of the CO adsorption, we see that the standard DFT functionals that we know, for instance PBE, they greatly fail at determining the adsorption energies, and they predict in contradiction with experiment that the COs should adsorb at the FCC hollow site, whereas that's not true. And around 10 to 15 years ago, there appeared a new class of functionals called van der Waals functionals, and those functionals were able to finally get those adsorption energies correct with experiment. And as we can see here, actually the most preferable site for the CO adsorption will be the A-top position right here, because it's obviously the lowest energy one. And the second most preferable one would be the bridge adsorption site. However, the thing is that, okay, so if we have the CO, then it most likely will attach itself to the A-top position. However, the question is whether it holds if we increase the coverage. And the answer is that not really. As we can see here, those are Monte Carlo patterns of the most energetically stable structures in agreement with experiment, in particular diffraction patterns from lead. And we can see that indeed, if we have the low coverage pattern, the result from DFT works. Everything, I mean, the COs are attached on the A-top positions here. That's good, that's fine. However, if we move to the medium coverage, that is half a monolayer, for instance, then we can actually see that the ratio of populations of the bridge position sites and A-top position sites is equal to each other, which shouldn't be the case because, you know, as I told you, there is a huge discrepancy in energies between those two guys. So it means then that there must be something non-trivial happening in the interaction potential between the COs while they are adsorbed on the platinum surface. And that's indeed the case. If we take a look here, this is the empiric potential which is necessary to obtain the proper coverages, as I showed you on a previous slide. And we can actually distinguish two types of contributions into this empiric potential. Namely, if we take a look at how the CO adsorbs on the platinum bulk, then we can see that it likes to attach itself with the carbon, to the platinum. And therefore, it means, as we all know, that the CO is a dipole. It means that we have two dipoles oriented in the same way. Therefore, we will have a repulsion. And that's this direct interaction term, dipole-dipole repulsion. However, this term alone cannot explain why, indeed, we have the change in the population of sites. However, if we introduce also the surface-mediated Friedel oscillations part, then actually we can observe like a proper, then we can actually get that, for instance, in the range of distances between 4 and 6 angstroms, we have an attraction between those two COs. And those Friedel oscillations appear because if we have the CO molecule approaching the platinum surface, then it disturbs the electron structure of the platinum surface, thus creating the ripples in the electron structure, and those ripples of the electron density are called Friedel oscillations. But the main question is that, okay, so we have this long-range effect, but we would like to see it on the actual ab initio studies, right? So how can we include those long-range effects? So the key idea here is that, of course, like the first idea might be that let's just build a vast lattice of platinum here and just run the DFT. Okay, but that will be enormously expensive in terms of computational power and time. So what can we actually do? Let's say that we just isolate a small platinum cluster and we surround it with auxiliary point charges in such a way that this cluster feels like it's inside the platinum bulk. And then if we can in some way obtain those point charges at a low computational cost, then we could run the quantum chemical calculations on the CO attaching itself to the platinum cluster, thus increasing the accuracy of this calculation. But the thing is that, okay, if we want to get those point charges, we need to have some sensible model. And what assumptions do we need so that this model might be simplified? First and foremost, as we all know, platinum is a difficult element to study. This is a transition metal. Of course, it's heavy, so we have relativistic effects. Fermi surface of platinum is crazy. So basically speaking, what we can do as a first approximation, we just approximate it with a non-interacting electron gas. It's not a problem because we can use the screened Coulomb potential, so it will even out. Moreover, we can neglect the background ions in order to simplify the symmetry from crystal symmetry to the axial symmetry here. And as we can see here, we have the stack of platinum layers, and actually it may be modeled in the vertical axis as a one-dimensional semi-infinite Dirac chronic penny crystal. So that's what we do. And the thing is that in chemistry, as it is well known, the most important thing in surface chemistry are surface states. So we just want to analyze the TAM surface states obtained from this semi-infinite crystal and just join it with two-dimensional free electron gas. All right, so let's talk right now about how this free electron gas responds when we have some kind of charge perturbation. So actually, here is the equation, generalized equation in d dimensions, which I derived independently. And the thing is that the most important thing is that we have the power law here, r to the power of d, and this tells us how quickly those oscillations decay. So basically speaking, in 1D, of course, the oscillations persist the longest. That's easy, obvious one. And the thing is that the surface states are two-dimensional, so it means that the Friedel oscillations will persist the longest, whereas for the three-dimensional bulk states, they will die off pretty quick. So this is also a justification why we are focused on the surface states. Moreover, as we have a bunch of free parameters, we would like to scale the model. So we scale the model to the charge density obtained from the empiric CO interaction potential that I showed you earlier on the slide 4. And as you can see, this scaling looks pretty good. And also while scaling, we can actually retrieve a correct screened Coulomb potential when calculated within RPA approximation. So this is also a good result. And with this proper scaling we obtained the following comparison between the density functional theory results and our analytical theory. I want to mention that obtaining this picture actually took a month on 1000 core HPC computer. So it's very tricky to get it. Whereas my picture here, the analytical model, it takes like 1 minute on a personal laptop. So basically I won't even be able to get a coffee. It's just that instant. So the thing is that, yep. And about the perspectives, you can just read them on the lower part of the screen, but I would like to entertain you here with two movies. One movie is made by the IBM, and this is the experimental playing with atoms, and you can see here actually the Friedel oscillations, those ripples. We can actually see them in the STM images. We are not IBM, unfortunately, but we can still make our own video like here using my model because it's so fast. And as you can see, that is pretty cool in my opinion. How do you like it? Yeah, right, like that. And I would like to thank all collaborators and supervisors. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. We have time for questions.
Hey, on the slide 7, you have this formula.
Yes.
And in this red semi-rectangle,
yes,
you have this delta F what does it mean? What is it responsible for?
Okay, so this delta F is actually the Fermi phase. The thing is that it depends on the type of scattering, simply speaking. So if we have, for instance, the weak regime, then this delta F, this delta F is just tells us how strong the scattering is, simply, yeah. So if, for instance, we consider the case of low regime, then there will be cosine here instead of sine, so delta F will be pi half. But if we have the strong regime, that is, that we have like a hard, let's say, ball, like at some point, then it will be sine, so delta F will be 0, yep. So that's just like the phase change related to the scattering.
Okay, thank you. Very nice talk. Do you think if the problem of this carbon monoxide is this dipole, if you move from these van der Waals functionals, which are, they are still fully local GGA, so maybe these functionals tends to overestimate the metallic character of the system. So maybe moving to some hybrid functional can reduce this charge, so in some way they can, I don't know, reproduce correctly the shape of the absorption site of in this medium high coverage?
I think from what I remember, I think that van der Waals functional had some small non-local component, isn't it right?
They are non-local, but they are not
so
hybrid in the sense that they don't have this hard exchange, so the problem with the self-interaction error is still present.
Yeah, but from what I remember, like this study, I have even like a additional slide on that. So as you can see here, it appears like they did a study comparison and they use some van der Waals df2. So maybe, this type of extension of the van der Waals functional helps in this problem. I don't necessarily know the details of this particular functional, but in general, even like this first one, it still gets better results. That is, the A-top is still the lowest energy one. So there is something going on for sure.
Can I connect to this question? So why Tomek is doing this is because we want to depart from DFT. So what we already done, but it was not presented here. We done some couplet cluster calculations on this, and this works like a charm. And in fact, there is a work of Ali Alavi, I think in Science or Nature, I don't remember. They calculated actually these numbers, but it took 2 years for them to get 3 numbers, and we want to do it much faster. Let's say, yeah. Thanks.
Like a minute on a personal computer. Don't forget about that.
You will after have too many results and you cannot, you have finished your PhD or postdoc very soon. Never can say, I'm waiting for the results. Okay, so let's thank the speaker of this session, and we have a coffee break now.